The year is 2007, and this 20-year-old guy right here, working in a factory making medical splints, is about to win the Premier League in 9 years. If I told you this story back in 2007, you would have thought that I was as high as Will from the In-Betweeners, but it actually happened.
They want to separate them. This is Jamie Vardy! Behind Damian Vardy! It's 11! It's heaven for Jamie Vardy!
For Vardy, great ball to Vardy. Oh, brilliant from Jamie Vardy!
Jamie Vardy's football journey started a long way from the bright lights of the Premier League. Back in the mid-2000s, he was just a teenager playing for a small club called Stocksbridge Park Steels, way deep down in the 7th level of English football, where Derby County should be playing. Before that, at just 16, Vardy faced a painful rejection from his childhood club, Sheffield Wednesday. They told him that he was too small to make it.
I thought that was it straight away. I'm not going to lie to anyone.
This crushed him, nearly pushing him to quit football for good.
If they release me, then football's not for me.
But Vardy didn't give up. Instead, he joined Stocksbridge, earning only £30 a week just to play the sport he loved. I mean, people nowadays make more money selling feed pics. The fields were rough, the stadium's mostly empty, but Vardy didn't care. He just wanted to play. Over 3 seasons at Stocksbridge, he scored more than 60 goals, becoming known for his incredible speed.
Quite a few people have got speed over those distances, but he'd also got the energy to run all over the field and keep running, sometimes like an headless chicken.
And relentless drive to find the net. Life wasn't easy though during those early days. Off the pitch, Vardy even found himself in trouble. He was convicted of assault and had to wear an electronic ankle tag during games. With a strict 6:30 p.m. curfew, he sometimes had to leave matches early, sprinting home just to avoid breaking the rules.
I remember him playing in one cup game that went into extra time, and they had to whip him off late on, and he shot off, didn't get changed or anything.
This tough period could have ended his dreams, but instead it made him stronger. Though his motivation for the assault was noble, he realized he had nearly wasted his talent and was determined to never let it happen again. Around the same time, Vardy became a father, and his daughter's birth gave him a new sense of purpose. He knew he needed to provide a better life for his young family, and this pushed him to train even harder. All these struggles, the tiny wages, balancing long days at work with football, the mistakes off the pitch, it built Vardy's character. By his early 20s, that rejected kid from Sheffield had grown into a goal-scoring star in non-league football. Bigger clubs began noticing this late-blooming striker who played every match like he had something to prove. And Jamie Vardy was determined to never be overlooked again. In 2010, Vardy got his first real break. He signed for FC Halifax Town, a small club playing in the Northern Premier League. It wasn't the big time, I mean, not even close. But for Vardy, it was a step up, a sign that maybe his dream wasn't dead at all. Halifax paid just £15,000 to bring him in, a tiny fee in footballing terms. But from the moment he pulled on their shirt, Vardy made sure everyone knew that he was worth every penny. On his debut, he scored the winning goal, and he didn't stop there. Week after week, Vardy lit up the pitch with his pace, hunger, and eye for goal. By the end of the season, he had smashed in 25 league goals, nearly 30 in all competitions, and dragged Halifax to the league title. The man who was once playing Sunday League football was now a champion, and even voted the club's player of the year. But this was still non-league football, small crowds, part-time players, long bus rides to nowhere towns. But for Vardy, he played every game like it was a cup final, fought for every duel, and just made defenders' lives miserable. Imagine getting off a long shift, and you have to defend Vardy for 90 minutes.
Am I supposed to chase after them?
As a result, the fans loved him. They started calling him the Phoenix, a player who had risen from the ashes after being written off. For the first time, Vardy really started to believe. And as the goals kept coming, so did the attention. After just one incredible season at Halifax, bigger clubs were watching. Vardy had proven he could rise once, and now it was time to climb even higher. In 2011, Jamie Vardy took another leap, this time to Fleetwood Town. The club was hungry for promotion to the Football League, and they believed Vardy was the man to get them there. They weren't the only ones watching him, but Fleetwood moved fast, paying a record £150,000 for a non-league player. You gotta remember, this was a massive gamble for a club at that level, and many wondered if Vardy could really be worth that kind of money. It didn't take long for Vardy to answer those doubts. From the moment he stepped onto the pitch, he was unstoppable. He tore through defenses with his pace and his ruthless finishing. Week after week, he found the back of the net, playing like a man who knew he didn't belong in non-league non-league football anymore. By the end of the 2012 season, he had scored 31 goals in just 36 games, finishing as the league's top scorer and leading Fleetwood to the title. Promotion secured. His mission was complete. By the season's end, Jamie Vardy wasn't just a star. He was the most wanted striker outside of the Football League. And I mean, this time around he was wanted by scouts, not by cops. More people began to pack the stands, knowing they were witnessing something special. And in May of 2012, the call came. Leicester City offered £1 million, a record-breaking fee, to sign Vardy and give him a shot in professional football. At 25 years old, Vardy was considered an unk in football, but he was about to swap non-league pitches for packed stadiums and championship football. The kid from Sheffield, who had once been rejected, who fought his way through the lowest levels of the game, was now stepping into a whole new world. But the real fairy tale was still yet to come.
And in May 2012, it was announced he was signing for Leicester, becoming the first non-league player to move for £1 million.
Jamie Vardy joined Leicester City in 2012, stepping into professional football a lot later than most players. Leicester at this time were playing in the Championship, one step below the bright lights of the Premier League. Vardy was excited. This was his big chance to prove himself at a higher level. But his first season wasn't easy at all. Vardy struggled badly in the beginning. The step up from non-league football felt huge, and he found it hard to deal with the pressure of his £1 million price tag. Things had initially started well. He made his debut in August and even scored early on in a cup match. But quickly he figured out that scoring in the Championship was a lot tougher than the previous leagues he had played in. As weeks turned into months, his confidence sank lower and lower. He ended the season with just 4 league goals in 26 matches. These are Hoyland numbers, and as a result, fans grew frustrated.
You probably find it a little bit difficult to adjust to the Championship.
On social media, many people started calling him a flop, wondering if Leicester had just wasted their money. For Vardy, someone who had worked so incredibly hard to reach this level, the criticism hurt deeply. At one point, he even considered quitting football altogether. The dream that he had fought so hard for suddenly felt out of reach. But Leicester's manager, Nigel Pearson, and his assistant, Craig Shakespeare, believed in Vardy. They saw something special in him. They pulled him aside and encouraged him, reminding him of how far he had come and how much more he could still achieve.
Craig Shakespeare, Nigel Pearson, Steve Walsh had a nice sit down and just reassured me that this is where I should be and that I can push on and go even higher.
Slowly, things began to change. Even when the goals didn't come easily, Jamie kept running. He kept fighting. He had more stamina than Lily Phillips. And eventually, he began to adjust to the tougher demands of Championship football. Leicester made it to the playoffs that season, but lost in a devastating fashion. We all know the game. Knocked out by Watford in the final seconds of the semi-final. Vardy had been a substitute that day, feeling the heartbreak along with his teammates. Yet through the pain of that season, he learned a priceless lesson about resilience. He realized that setbacks can either break you or make you stronger. Yes, that sounds corny, but it's the truth. If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And Vardy, he'd chosen strength. He had faced tough times before, and he knew that he could bounce back again. The struggles of his first year at Leicester didn't end his story. They made him more determined than ever to prove that he really did belong at the top. The new season brought a fresh start for Jamie Vardy. In 2013-2014, he transformed completely from a struggling newcomer into one of Leicester City's most important players. Goals that had been so hard to find in the previous year now came regularly. You know what Ronaldo says? It's like a ketchup bottle. You keep jerking that bottle and eventually something's gonna come out.
The goals, they are like the ketchup. When you start, when you open, they're coming.
Pause, guys. Get your mind out of the gutter. Vardy started playing with freedom and fire, thanks to the belief shown in him by Nigel Pearson. Leicester had built a strong team, and they dominated the Championship from day one. On the field, Vardy's lightning fast pace became a nightmare for defenders. And it's not just the fact that he was fast. It's that he was also ridiculously aggressive. He chased down every loose ball, he pressured the back line non-stop, and then scored calmly when the chances came.
I've always been energetic, fast, bit of a pest, and to be honest with you, I think that's some of my strengths.
All the skills that he had slowly perfected in the lower leagues were now Leicester's secret weapon as they fought for promotion. One of the best moments in Vardy's career came in January of 2014, in a big game against Derby County, Leicester's biggest rivals. Vardy scored a crucial goal and also earned a penalty, helping Leicester win convincingly. 4-1 was the final score. That win was a clear sign that Leicester were on their way up, and Vardy was a big reason why.
He's arrived here.
As the goals kept coming, Leicester pulled away at the top of the league. By season's end, Vardy had scored 16 league goals, a very impressive total for someone who had struggled so much the year before. I mean, he had 4x his total goals. Leicester became the champions of the championship and earned their place in the Premier League. For Vardy, celebrating this success was incredibly emotional. A few years earlier, he was working part-time and playing football in front of nobody. Now he had scored the goals that sent Leicester into England's highest division. Even his teammates recognized how far he'd come, voting Vardy as Leicester City's Players' Player of the Season. It's funny, in the dressing room and off the pitch, Vardy is known for his humor, but on the pitch, he's this relentless guy that plays with 99 pace and 99 aggression. And as a result, everyone respected his work ethic and his ability to deliver when it mattered the most. As he lifted the championship trophy, Vardy's smile was mixed with tears of joy. He was headed to the Premier League, the place you could only dream of, and he had earned every bit of it. Once again though, there were still some doubters. Some wondered if a guy who was nearly pushing 30, who had been playing non-league football just a short while ago, could actually compete with the best in England. But as we have seen through Vardy's career, he loves being an underdog, and he was determined to prove his journey wasn't just some sort of luck. And the next few seasons would transform his story into one of the greatest football stories the world has ever seen. Leicester City's first season back in the Premier League was packed with drama, highs, and lows, both for the club and for Jamie Vardy. At first, he had to fight hard to get into the team because he had missed the first 2 matches with a minor injury. But on August 31st, 2014, his lifelong dream finally came true. Vardy stepped onto the Premier League pitch for the first time against Arsenal. The boy, who had once played for just £30 a week on rough fields, was now at the top of English football. Although he didn't score in that 1-1 draw, simply being there felt like a win. But the best moment was still waiting. By late September, Leicester were struggling badly and had to face Manchester United, one of football's giants. Yes guys, back then United were still considered a good team. This was their first season after Ferguson. What happened next though would become legendary. In that match, Leicester went down 3-1 to United and looked beaten. Angel Di Maria was shining, but Vardy refused to accept defeat, not to an Argentinian guy who looks like an elf. He delivered an unbelievable performance, scoring his first ever Premier League goal and assisting 4 others. His speed, fearlessness, and energy, it overwhelmed United's defenders, helping Leicester pull off an incredible 5-3 comeback. When Vardy scored the final goal, the stadium erupted, and his passionate celebration showed just how much the moment meant to him. Suddenly, almost overnight, Vardy was famous across England. He was named the man of the match and made headlines everywhere. People started to realize that this late blooming striker could truly play at the highest level. Yet despite that amazing day, Leicester's season became a tough battle against relegation. By spring, they were at the bottom of the table and looked doomed. Vardy and his teammates though refused to give up. In April of 2015, Leicester began a run that would be called the Great Escape. Vardy led the charge with a vital 90th minute goal to beat West Bromwich Albion, giving his team some hope. He didn't score a load of goals that season, he actually only got 5, but each goal came at a crucial moment, because later that same month, he scored a winner against Burnley. Leicester fought incredibly hard, winning 7 of their last 9 matches. Vardy's energy and running really drove the team forward. It's so nice to have a number 9 that's willing to actually work off the ball. Mbappe should take lessons. On the final day, Leicester had pulled off the impossible, finishing safely in 14th after sitting dead last at Christmas. Vardy scored again in a final day 5-1 victory against QPR, putting an exclamation point on their survival. When that season ended, it was a mixed feeling of relief and pride for Leicester City, because on one hand, Vardy had proven to everyone and himself that he belonged in the Premier League, but on the other hand, they had been really close to being relegated. Now nobody knew it yet, but this dramatic escape was only the beginning. Even greater miracles were just around the corner. The 2015-2016 season was like something out of a dream, a fairy tale where Jamie Vardy became the hero. Leicester City, who were expected to fight to just stay in the Premier League, were given 5,000 to 1 odds to win the title. I think I have higher odds of bagging Madison Beer. Nobody believed it could happen, but from the very first game, Vardy and his teammates showed the world they weren't here to just survive. On opening day, he scored the first goal in a 4-2 win over Sunderland, but he wasn't done proving everyone wrong. Under Claudio Ranieri, Leicester played fearless, fast, counter-attacking football. And of course Vardy, he was at the heart of it. His speed, his hunger, his relentless pressing, everything was beginning to click. As the weeks passed, Vardy caught fire. By late October, he had scored in 7 games in a row, and suddenly everyone was asking, could he break Ruud van Nistelrooy's famous record of scoring in 10 consecutive Premier League matches? Well, Vardy, he wasn't just chasing the record, he wanted to smash it, the same way I want to smash Ana de Armas. He scored in his 8th game, then the 9th. The whole country started cheering him on. On November 21st, 2015, against Newcastle, he made it 10-10, and then came the big moment. A week later, under the lights at the King Power Stadium, Leicester faced Manchester United, and in the 24th minute, Vardy did what no one else had ever done. He scored in his 11th consecutive Premier League match. The crowd exploded. The guy who had once played non-league football had just broken a record held in the highest division of English football. Vardy was now in the history books.
Vardy has done it! Vardy's done it! He scored against Manchester United. 11 goals, 11 Premier League games. Can you believe it? He eclipses Ruud van Nistelrooy's record
and even earned a spot in the Guinness World Records. But he wasn't done yet. As he was breaking individual records, Leicester kept climbing the table, and suddenly the impossible felt possible. Could Leicester actually win the league? Vardy kept leading the charge. On February 2nd, 2016, he scored one of the best goals of the season, a stunning volley from distance against Liverpool. Even Jurgen Klopp had to applaud it. That performance and a 2-0 win helped Leicester stay on top of the league. Just days later, Vardy showed his loyalty by signing a new contract, turning down offers from bigger clubs. Leicester was his team, and he was ready to finish what they started. By April, the unthinkable was within reach. Everybody had figured that they would fall off eventually, but nope, Leicester were still at the top of the table. On April 10th, Vardy scored twice against Sunderland, reaching 21 league goals. He became the first Leicester player since Gary Lineker to hit 20 goals in a top-flight season. Even more incredible were those goals secured Leicester's spot in the Champions League for the first time ever. Now, it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were some bumps in the road. In a match against West Ham, Vardy scored, but then was later sent off, forcing him to miss key games during the title run-in. He could only watch from the sidelines as his teammates pushed on. But then, on May 2nd, 2016, the miracle was complete. Thanks to Juicy Bum Hazard scoring against Spurs, Leicester City were crowned Premier League champions. It was one of the greatest underdog stories in sports history. Vardy finished the season with 24 goals, just one behind Harry Kane for the Golden Boot. He was named the Football Writers Player of the Year and the Premier League Player of the Season. When Leicester lifted the trophy at the King Power Stadium, Vardy stood proudly with his medal, his family beside him, his young daughter wearing a Leicester jersey with daddy on the back. I think at this point, Vardy is also the daddy of Tottenham and Manchester United. It was a picture-perfect moment. He had literally climbed from the bottom of English football to the very top. The fans sang his name, his teammates celebrated with him, and the whole world watched in awe as the ultimate underdog became a champion. After the incredible high of winning the Premier League, Jamie Vardy and Leicester City faced a whole new world in the 2016-2017 season. Now, they weren't underdogs, they were champions, and every team wanted to beat them, and all eyes were on Vardy. That summer, Arsenal came calling, triggering a £22 million release clause, trying to lure Vardy away.
Well, according to many rumours, it is very close to happening. Jamie Vardy may be making a move to the Gunners this summer before the Euros.
But he wasn't tempted. He stayed loyal to Leicester, the club where he'd made history. He knew this was his home. On the pitch though, things got a lot tougher. Leicester couldn't find the magic of the previous season, and Vardy was struggling individually. Defenders knew what he was gonna do now, and he went through a frustrating 10-game goal drought in the autumn of 2016. Kinda funny, he went from 11 games in a row of scoring to 10 games in a row without even sniffing a goal. But Vardy has never been one to stay quiet for too long. On December 10th, 2016, against Man City, Vardy reminded everyone exactly who he was. He smashed his way out of the drought by scoring a brilliant hat-trick in a 4-2 win. The King Power Stadium erupted as Vardy celebrated, proof that when given a chance, and taking enough Red Bull, he was still lethal. Yet the season was a roller coaster. Just weeks after that hat-trick, Vardy was sent off in a heated game against Stoke, earning a 3-match ban. Leicester's league form dipped so badly that Claudio Ranieri, the man who led them to glory, was sacked in February. But while the league campaign was rocky, something magical was happening elsewhere, the UEFA Champions League. Leicester, against all odds, were playing among Europe's elite, and Vardy loved the big stage. He scored a vital away goal against Sevilla in the round of 16, keeping Leicester's Champions League dream alive. Then in the quarterfinals against Atletico Madrid, he scored again to give Leicester hope of a famous comeback. Though they were eventually knocked out, Vardy had proven that he could score against Europe's best teams. He wasn't just a one-season wonder. By the end of the season, Leicester had recovered to finish 12th, and Vardy ended with 13 league goals. It wasn't the fairy tale of the year before, but Vardy had showed his true color: loyal, determined, and always ready for the fight. He stayed during a time where I guarantee you most strikers would have left, and as a result, he gave Leicester fans Champions League memories that they'd never forget. By the 2018 season, Jamie Vardy wasn't just a great story anymore. He was a Premier League star. Leicester had now settled into life as a mid-table team, but Vardy kept shining. On opening day, he scored twice in a 4-3 loss to Arsenal, showing once again that he could still hurt any defense in the league. Although, let's be honest, that Arsenal defense wasn't the best. In October of 2017, he actually reached a huge personal milestone: his 200th appearance for the Foxes. From non-league pitches to 200 games in the top flight, it was a proud moment, and he celebrated it by helping his team earn a point against West Brom. That season, Vardy was all about consistency. Week after week, he found the net. By May of 2018, he had scored 20 Premier League goals, marking the second time in his career that he'd hit that number. Leicester finished 9th, and Vardy was clearly their star man, leading by example. And it wasn't just about the number of goals, it was about how he scored them. In March of 2018, Vardy produced one of the greatest goals of his career. Mahrez floated a long ball over the top, and without any hesitation, Vardy struck it first time on the volley with his weaker foot, sending it perfectly into the far corner. It was pure magic. That goal would later be crowned the Premier League goal of the season. Off the pitch, Vardy continued to show his commitment by signing a new 4-year contract in August of 2018, staying loyal to Leicester, when again, many players his age would have looked for a final big move. At 31, Vardy was evolving, using his experience, smart movement, and deadly finishing to stay at the top of his game. He wasn't just Leicester's main man anymore. He was a leader and a mentor to the younger players coming through. As the season ended, Jamie Vardy had proven that he wasn't just a one-season wonder. He was one of the best strikers in England, one of the best strikers in the Premier League, and his incredible story still had plenty more chapters to come. The 2020 season was another incredible moment in Jamie Vardy's story. Under Brendan Rodgers, Leicester were flying high, and Vardy once again was unstoppable. In October of 2019, he bagged a hat-trick in a record 9-0 win over Southampton. At 32, he was still outrunning defenders who were much younger than him. And the milestones, they kept coming. On July 4th, 2020, Vardy scored his 100th Premier League goal, becoming the first Leicester player to join the 100 club. By season's end, he had 23 league goals, winning the Premier League Golden Boot at 33 years old, the oldest player to ever do so. Although Leicester City narrowly missed out on Champions League football, they ended up crumbling towards the end and finishing 5th. Vardy's achievement was still remarkable. From non-league obscurity to outscoring the likes of Salah, Kane, and Aubameyang, he showed once again that age and background meant nothing when heart and hunger were involved. Vardy was outplaying players who had higher wages than him, bigger market values, more PR. But true to his nature, Vardy didn't care too much about personal glory. Instead, he focused on pushing Leicester forward as a team.
Can you have a moment to feel proud of what you've achieved?
No, I'll wait till the end of the season.
In 2021, Vardy helped Leicester make history again. This time it wasn't the Premier League title, it was the FA Cup. It was the first time the Foxes had ever won the trophy. Although he didn't score in the final against Chelsea, his journey was symbolic. The first player to feature in every FA Cup round, from the earliest stages with Stocksbridge to Wembley glory. Even when injuries crept in and age caught up to him, Vardy still delivered when it mattered. He scored 15 league goals in both the 2021 and 2022 season. But by the 2023 season, Leicester's fortunes sank. At 36 years old, Vardy had to fight to save his club from relegation. He scored a bunch of crucial goals late in the season, but despite his efforts, Leicester were relegated, leaving Vardy heartbroken. This is a man who had scored for Leicester in the Champions League, who had won a Premier League Golden Boot. He had lifted a Premier League title, yet now he was taking a step back, going back to the Championship, where his journey initially began with the Foxes. It was a difficult moment in Vardy's journey, but in typical fashion, he stayed loyal, and in 2024, he helped Leicester bounce straight back to the Premier League. Wearing the captain's armband, he was a beast. He scored 20 goals in all competitions and provided 2 assists. Even though Leicester as a team had a rocky season, in the beginning of the season they looked great, but towards the middle it actually looked like they might miss out on promotion. But Vardy didn't let that happen. He scored against Sunderland, got a brace against Hull City, and then scored 4 times in the last 5 matches of the season, helping Leicester clinch promotion as champions. But even though Vardy helped Leicester get back to the Premier League, they went right back down. And in April of 2024, 2025. After 11 unforgettable years, Vardy announced he was leaving Leicester, the last hero from the 2016 miracle. Mahrez had left years earlier, Conte had left, even Danny Drinkwater was gone, but Vardy had stayed. But now it was even his turn to say goodbye. It was the end of an era, but his legacy as the ultimate underdog was forever sealed. Jamie Vardy's journey is one of the most remarkable rags to riches stories in football. He embodies the idea that it's never too late to chase your dream and defy the odds. From sweating it out in England's 8th division and playing with an ankle monitor on, to winning the Premier League and FA Cup, and even becoming the top scorer in the league that many deem the best in the world. His story feels like a cheesy Hollywood movie. Every time the football world said he can't do it at this level, Jamie Vardy went out and did it. He carries the hope of underdogs everywhere, showing that with hard work, self-belief, and a bit of magic, anything is possible. Now you might be wondering, how the hell did Leicester get relegated after clinching promotion as champions? Well, to see the rise, fall, and fall again of Leicester City, you have to check out this video right here.